Welcome to What's the Effort?
What the F?
Hey.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
That's a great intro, Effie. What are you talking about?
Do you know who Jeremy Davis is?
Yeah.
Jeremy Davis told me, stop. What the hell is that? I said, what do you mean? He goes, what? He cut me down so much. I said, oh, dang, I put a lot of work in it. He said, doesn't count. Get rid of it.
I think that counts, especially on a live stream. It gives a good amount of time for people to join in, and it feels good, and you get to look at you, and I like it. I'm a fan.
Well,
that's a good one.
It's what I've got right now. Hi, Robin. Nice to see you. Anyhow, guys, usually I start off by saying thank you to my guest, and I certainly am not going to make an exception here. Bobby, thank you. And I'm always excited about my podcast. I love this hour, but I can't tell you, I've been damn giddy. I've been so excited. So I think it just goes to show that I really understand a little bit about who you are, and I'm so excited that you're here.
Let's
Thank you
go.
very, very much.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, no, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
And I have to ask you about your choice of movie. You know, I make these funny little, or have these funny little adverts made.
Yeah.
And you chose What About Bob?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's a classic, Bill Murray, and it has my name in it. What about Bob?
Good.
And over the years, there's been some jokes. What about Bob? With me. So what about me? You know, and I thought it's a movie that probably nobody has thought about in a long time, and it'll be a fun movie poster to knock off. And he knocked it out of the park, putting my dog in there and everything. That's great.
Yeah, I think he did very well. And we're talking about Josh Keating. He is I've graduated, guys. I now have I don't know what we call him.
An employee.
An employee, yeah. Don't say it too loud. My son, he replaced my son.
That's great.
But anyhow, I really want to say thank you very, very much. I also traditionally like to start about learning about my guests in talking about the early years. Because a lot of times people just pop in and they talk about the guest at this time. And I am always interested about the beginning. So I'd like you to tell us just a little bit about what your beginnings were. You know, where did you live? Did you have siblings? What about the family? You know, tell me a little bit about you as a little kiddo.
Little kiddo. I had it made in the shade. My dad did really well with life insurance, and we lived outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So my early years, I was privileged. I got to go to a private school until I was maybe third grade or something before I went to public school. And then, just lived outside of DC in Virginia in a couple of nice houses, and got to do all the youth sports, basketball and swimming. And I was 6 by the time my sister came around. So
you do have a sibling?
Yeah, I got my little sister, Laura, and the whole family moved out to Phoenix when I was 11, so 2001.
Okay. So I have your mom was kind enough to send a couple of little pics that I thought were adorable. How old are you here?
I would guess 4 or 5 in that one, but maybe 3. I don't know. I actually was talking to my mom about some pictures, and I said, "How old am I in that one? 5?" And she was like, "You are 2." And I was like, "I got a big old head. That's crazy."
Well, you know, I was thinking maybe 2.5.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Look, you are absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Well, thank you.
Whoa. Okay, guys, now you know my skill set. All right, so here, I love this picture. You've got to be about 2.5 because that's when little kids squint their nose to smile. They think they're smiling.
Look at the drip, by the way. Look at that outfit. I love it. I want to find some white shorts again and rock that.
Oh, for sure, with the red socks matching everything.
Yeah, good job, Mom.
And this beautiful lady is your mom?
Yep.
Just
Ardell.
Beautiful. Ardell is her name?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Never met another Ardell in my life.
That's unique.
Yeah.
I like unique. And then we have you getting into sports. How old were you here?
I don't know. It looks like 6, maybe. Could be 5. I'm pretty bad at guessing my own age, it looks like.
Well, here you were a little bit too big for this type.
Yeah. That's
But
I remember that logo. It brings back the memory of basketball. That was my youth basketball jersey. So
oh, isn't
maybe
that
7
nice?
or 8.
Cool. Very,
Yeah.
very nice. And this is your little sister.
Yep.
What's her name?
Laura.
Oh, very nice. Laura's
Yeah.
a famous name in this area with sub 2.
Yeah, for real.
So what are you doing here, bro? What is
I think I'm trying to be like the Washington Wizards and do my hair the same color as the team for my birthday. It looks like that's some birthday activities.
cool?
Yeah.
All right. My kids did that sort of thing for their hair, but at an older age. And here we see a young man. How old are you?
That's when you first meet Bobby. I was Robert my whole life in Virginia until I moved to Phoenix, and I was like, I could just be an entirely new person, and I stuck with Bobby. And then Bobby wanted to bleach his hair because that shit was trendy in 6th grade, 2001.
How
Yeah,
cool is that?
yeah,
That you consciously went and to change your name.
yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Reinvent yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Hi,
I'm due for
Roger.
another reinvention soon. What's up,
Oh, well,
Roger?
reinvention is good. Doesn't matter what age you're at. I think that it's pretty cool to say the
Yeah.
least. Josh, thank you for everything very, very much. I did want to ask, when you went to Phoenix as a youngster, when did you talk to me about what you were like as a student? Were you a good student?
Yeah. So actually transitioning from private school in Virginia, the school system in Virginia was like really good. And then coming out to Phoenix public school systems and it was really bad. So I stuck out like a sore thumb. And then I was in all the gifted and talented programs from like 6th grade until, I don't know, until they stopped doing those things. So I was ahead of the curve and I was a slacker. I would do the minimum effort, but smart enough to do really well with doing the bare minimum. So
Did the teachers like
yeah.
you, or did they see you
Yeah.
as a slacker?
I was no, I was loved. I was always a favorite
Nice, very
by
nice.
the teachers. It's a good position to be in, you know?
Of course,
Yeah.
it's a good position to be in. So, as you went through high school, you're very well known in a couple of different areas, which I think is cool. Talk to us about when you first developed your interest in the BMX world.
It was like the neighborhood kids that would pedal around, and I had a little BMX bike, but that I didn't think twice about, but I would follow them around and they were starting to learn tricks and jump off of those little ramps that you can buy. And I thought that was cool. And I ended up getting shown the ropes by a couple of neighbors who showed me the internet and showed me BMX videos, and I got super enthralled. I was like, you could do that. So I got obsessed and I would learn stuff and developed a relatively unique style on the bike. And I remember I was 15, 16, and I was on the high school basketball team, and I remember the conversation with my dad. I want to dedicate my life to this BMX bike. And he's like, what, Robert, don't quit. And I was like, screw you, Dad, I'm quitting. And I quit the basketball team so that I could ride more. And it turns out that shaped the trajectory of my life in a really cool way. So yeah, and there's video was involved from the beginning. Like me and Cleon is his name. We would document all of our tricks on my mom's little tiny mini DV camera, and we would post on forums online. So this is before YouTube was big. It was just small communities of BMX riders around, and me and Cleon became pretty big on that forum. Like they were always waiting for the Cleon and the Kanode videos to come out, and sheesh, I don't even know from there. It's a winding, crazy story, but BMX and videography shaped my life. Crazy.
Did you enjoy one more than the other?
BMX and videography?
Yeah, because a lot of times you are a videographer or a photographer. You like being behind the camera,
right?
And figuring out what you can do. Was it out of necessity, or was it that you loved it?
Well, at the beginning, I definitely loved being on camera and being the rider more. And then a couple of years into it, I'm sponsored. I'm trying to shoot a photo and going across this rail. I'm doing an ice pick across like a 10-foot gap on a round rail. And I got cocky with it and didn't hop high enough, and then looped out, which is just falling backwards really fast. And I did that to the rail, and I compound fractured my tailbone, and I had to have emergency surgery overnight. The doctor said, you really tore yourself a new one. And because I'm on all fours in the ER, and the doctor's got me spread open with a flashlight. And he says, "You got to come see this." And he calls in a nurse from the hallway, a lady, beautiful lady nurse. And I look back and she's like, "Oh yeah." And he goes, "You really tore yourself a new one here, bud." And I was like, "Okay." So then
Oh,
that knocked me out of riding for a little bit.
oh,
And
that is so funny. I mean, I know Robin doesn't mean to be laughing either.
no, it's hilarious.
It
Broke
is
my
hilarious.
nose.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. I'm sure to turn around and see a beautiful woman looking up your tush and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is interesting."
That was one of the times where I learned about just handling embarrassment. It is what it is, you know?
Did it hurt a lot? Because
No, I mean, actually, yeah, the day of, it sucked real bad. Like I couldn't sit to drive us back, and I was the one driving. So I told my buddy, "You got to drive," and I was hiding or hugging my headrest in the passenger seat with my butt up in the air. I remember hobbling past my dad when I got home, and he's like, "You all right?" And I just didn't say anything. Went to the bathroom. I saw blood going down to my ankle, and I screamed, "Dad, my ass is bleeding!" And he said, "It's probably just hemorrhoids, Robert. Plug it up." So I laid there for like an hour with toilet paper plugging it up, and then I realized like this can't be hemorrhoids. It's so bad. So that's when they took me to the hospital.
Come and look and tell me if I'm okay with that.
This has got to be the craziest hemorrhoid you've ever seen.
Oh, that is hysterical. I mean, not really, but yeah.
Yeah, but to get BMX and video, so that's pretty much the time where I switched to caring more about the videography side of it. While I was cooped up, laying on my stomach, recovering,
Okay.
I was able to still edit videos. So that's when I got obsessed with editing videos, and that's when I was like, I'm gonna take it easy on trying risky tricks, and I'll just get out with the boys anyway, and I'll be the filmer. And I became the dedicated filmer.
Now, were you sponsored at that time?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be sponsored, as a young man or a young boy, whatever you want to call you, teenager, as a BMXer? Is it lucrative, or is it
okay, yeah. So there's two answers. To the young man who getting sponsored, it means the world. It's the most validating thing, and I get free bike parts and free travel. But objectively speaking, it's pretty much nothing. Like you just sell yourself to become a billboard for a company, and they're betting on you being able to draw attention and get eyeballs and make their product look cool.
Mm-hmm.
So my first sponsor was GT Bikes, which is a pretty huge company, and the first trip they took me to was Australia. So
gosh.
As an 18-year-old, I'm blown away. I get to just go to Australia with a bunch of pro riders and play with kangaroos, eat kangaroo. I had kangaroo steak. And I still remember my dad telling me, like, you need to soak up all the memories off the BMX bike as you can, which, turns out to be true as I got older. I'm like, yeah, I wish I could remember more from those trips. But yeah, I think a young sponsored BMX rider, it means the world to them, but it's not that big of a deal financially or life changing at all. But travel in free parts is pretty freaking sweet.
And probably were any of those people some of your heroes, some of your role models?
Yeah,
that would have a huge impact on a young person.
Mm-hmm. It was unreal.
And money it's not as concrete yet, because you got bragging rights, you got to see Australia, got to experience it. What else do you need? I mean, your parents are there for the money.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I might as well have been a communist back then. I was idealistic. I said, money sucks. You don't need to make money. Who made this up? This is the root of all evil. Just like, I really didn't like the idea of money, but I was privileged enough to have parents with money so that I could have that mindset, which is wrong. But I always hated money until maybe a couple of years ago. And I was like, okay, let's figure this shit out.
That's hysterical. It's a good point though. It's a good point though, because I think, especially if you are privileged or you feel safe, you're from a first world country and you're, you've been taken care of, you can see some things, but not others. And as a result, you can end up actually making mistakes on judgments that you don't see until later on in life. So yeah, for sure. So you kept on your videography the whole time?
The whole time, never stopped.
Okay.
Still
I know, because when I was doing my research on you, I know you for something else that we'll talk about in just a second, but I was like, holy shit, he's really big in the BMX world. And I've known a few BMXers, just one of my neighbors, her boyfriend created a lot of the, what do you call them, routes and such, the,
Bike paths?
yeah,
Yeah.
all up throughout Whistler and everywhere in BC. He was sent to Norway and
Oh, sick. So he's making like dirt jumps and trails for bikes. Sick.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
he got to design those, and he had his crew, and they would, he'd be hired on his design, his reputation to actually prepare the routes or whatever you call it.
That's
What do you
amazing.
call
Yeah.
it?
So on a mountain, it would be what would it be? A route? Route works. I would say trail. Trail is probably the right word.
Yeah.
Downhill trails. That sounds really. That's an interesting job to design the route down a mountain. A trail.
Right. And he was very much into the bikes himself, but and
Sick.
riding, but that was his passion.
Yeah.
So I understand, that it's a big world.
There is a big world. Yeah, there's a lot of money in that general world. The bigger bikes, the mountain bikes, the stuff that adults pay for. But I've found, because like I thought the BMX world would be this huge, massive thing, and then once I kind of established myself in the world, I saw like, oh, this is a niche within a niche. Like I ride street BMX, which is a niche within BMX, which is a niche within biking. Like there's a lot of money in bicycles, but barely any in this little niche within a niche.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A niche within a niche. Okay. I know that. I know that concept for sure. And I'm looking at your podcast, and you've got, I love the name, Kanode Knows.
Thank you. It's got a ring to it.
It certainly does. Kanode Knows. How did you ever come up with it?
It was on a whim. I think I was probably drunk, and I listened to podcasts all the time, and I said I could do it, and then I was like, well, pussy, do it then, So I forced myself to get the camera out, and I didn't have any special mics. I just had the microphone that points from the camera, and I sat on the couch with my buddy Chadwick. I didn't know what to call it yet, and interviewed him for an hour, and then I thought, I don't want to be trapped into just BMX. I'd like it to be anybody that I talk to, so let's go with Kanode Knows. That's got a ring to it,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I love it. And I also noticed that your interviews are not short.
Yeah. Some of them go 3 hours.
I know. Numerous of them. Lots of them do. And then you got an hour and a half and all that sort of thing. And I'm like, wow.
Well, I'll tell you, they usually, my intention is usually to keep it like an hour and entertaining, but I'm literally talking to my heroes. These are people that I've looked up to for my whole life that I've seen on the internet, and they're talking to me, and I'm like, what? And so just if the conversation goes, it goes.
Yeah.
It's nice to not have any rules. I'm in charge. I could do a 10-hour podcast if I wanted to. 3 hours is pretty much the peak of, okay, I'm done talking.
There you go. There you go. And also on your IG, oh my God. I was looking at that one where you just posted, I guess it's recent.
Yeah, the hot air balloon one, yeah?
The hot air balloon.
Yeah.
All right. Crazy. So, audience, how many of you would get into a hot air balloon with a bike and do damn tricks? Okay, Pace Morby, I now challenge you.
Yeah, for real. Put that on the bucket list.
Yeah, put that on the list.
Day with Pace. We're going up in a hot air balloon.
Well, yeah, going up in the hot air balloon is on my bucket list. But doing it on a bike and doing tricks, I wouldn't have even imagined it. I don't know what the insurance must have been on that guy.
I know, right?
I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh my God, so just a little bit, and then he's gone.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Red Bull, and Red Bull does a bunch of crazy stuff with their riders. It's all like they put a lot of money into these productions because they know it works. And Chris Kyle came up with this idea to go up in a hot air balloon, and to hear the story of, they built a wooden skate park, but it was too heavy. They couldn't get it up, so they had to tear that down, and then they built it out of carbon fiber. And building it out of carbon fiber made it wobble really, really hard while it was in the sky. So you can't see it in the video, but he was telling me like it's the most difficult thing he's ever done because it's legit just wobbling the whole time.
I believe it. With the wind.
He wanted to do it without a parachute too.
What? And then it's being filmed from another balloon, which, I'm like, wait, that camera isn't in there. So that means that the two balloons had to have been relatively close.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. If
It's
I
a
was his
production.
mother, I would have been, you better not fall, because if you fall and you die, I'm going to kick you. I would have been so mad.
Oh, now you're grounded.
Yeah, exactly. But incredible fun stuff to play with in your head, and to see some of it happening, it is a little
It's
pretty
spooky.
amazing.
It makes my I have a fear of heights, so that's beyond me for sure. Like you would think a BMX rider, a stunt man, would have like the crazy, whatever the crazy gene is that a
Yeah.
lot of those dudes have, but I don't. I'm chill. I like to stay low to grind some wedges. I like to film and talk about the crazy stuff, but that's not me. Going in there is not for me.
I hear you. I hear you. So did you go straight into being a BMXer, or did you go to college too?
Yeah, I went to college.
What'd you
I
study?
got a scholarship for like the full ride to ASU just because I did well on my ACT scores. I think my dad did something. My dad must have called and said, "What can we do here?" Or whatever. I think he pulled some strings and helped me get the sponsorship or scholarship. But ASU was paid for. I went and I just wanted to pick something easy because I was just obsessed with writing and filming. So I picked business management. No, first I chose global leadership, which I still don't even really know what that would even be. I think that's just understanding cultures and
I did that,
communication.
or politics.
Yeah. And then a year into that, I said, okay, let's just do business management. And I got a degree in business management with a minor in entrepreneurship. So if I've seen a lot of case studies of businesses and I have a general sense of what's good and whatnot, but I can't remember a single thing from college. The whole time I was in college, all my free time was spent making BMX videos and hustling BMX videos. Like I would make a video at the skate park and then sell it to ESPN for a couple $100, sell it to different YouTube companies, and then I got that ball rolling, and it just became second nature. I literally would never be out without my camera and just film everything, edit everything at night, and it was my hobby. I didn't even consider it as a job, but yeah.
Yeah. So your skills really started at a young age.
Yeah, I think so. I started learning the camera stuff when I was 16 and then started making a living from it when I was 22. So, yeah.
Was it as a BMXer at 22?
Yes. It was freelance hustling. I was doing Jimmy John's deliveries at one point. I had a couple of random jobs in college. I went to a job fair and got recruited to be a copier salesman. You know those big copy machines in offices?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I put on some of my dad's old business clothes and ties and walked in and didn't make a single sale for, I don't know, 4 months. And that was a fun little chapter. I worked at Jimmy John's. I was a taxi driver. I worked at a bike shop.
Bike shop.
I
Yeah.
cleaned pools. Yeah. And so I'm very not good at working on bikes, but I was good at selling. So they were like, Bobby, you go work up front, because I would mess shit up on the bike every day.
Why? I would have expected that you'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a very handy guy. I would love to have become that, but no blame, but my dad didn't teach me to be handy. He taught me to try and make money and be good at sales. That's what my dad did.
Oh, that's
yeah.
But on your own bikes, did you have them worked on? You didn't do them yourself?
Yeah, there's certain things that I can pretty much work on the whole bike, but compared to somebody in the bike shop who's like good and does it all day, you might as well it's a waste of time to have me change a chain on a bike versus somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, go work.
I know what I'm doing. I'm just bad at it and making little mistakes and stuff. But that's how you learn. So now, yes, I can work on anybody's bike and do it well, but I prefer not to. So I'll figure out ways to. I'll go into the bike shop and just chill and talk to the owner and be like, "You guys don't mind can you put some new tires on for me?" All right, cool. No, just charm them.
That's funny. All right, so you've got Terrence over here. He says he was a peer of yours.
Service those. That sucks. I thought selling them sucked.
Oh my God, the servicemen were always being called in, right? Because somebody in the office would mess it up, and they'd call a guy, and when he's there, well, this thing doesn't work. They'd blame it on the thing, and the guy would look at the people, knowing darn well you're the idiots that caused this. But yeah, I know. I understand.
They say, have you tried turning it off and back on again?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Toner.
Oh,
yep.
Yep, for sure. So talk to me a little bit about, you said you started working around 22. When you finished, did you finish your degree?
Yeah, finished my degree. And then I I got encouraged by my dad to look for an internship within the BMX industry. So I sent out a bunch of emails.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Bobby at blah blah blah. I'd look for, and I realized that the curtain wasn't as crazy as I thought. Once you see behind it, it's just dudes running bike shops or bike companies.
Not many
And
dudettes.
yeah, no, not too many dudettes running BMX companies. But I reached out to a guy that ran a big website, Adam22, and I said, "Hey, do you know any internships available?" And he said, "Come out, stay with me, and intern for me," which turned out to be just like a fun BMX trip. I worked on a couple videos. I got to learn how to do WordPress and post on the website. It was called The Come Up, and yeah, just I didn't really take it too seriously. I treated it as a vacation, but through that, I made a bunch of good connections. And then maybe the year after that, I ended up applying for a job. Like I heard that this company needed a videographer, and so I kept hitting them up every month. Hi, I'm Bobby. Here's my resume. Are you ready to have me be your filmer yet? Hey, and I did that for 6 months, and then I proactively went and shot something when their team was in town. I went and documented a shop stop and made a video out of it that they ended up posting. The owner of the company, Ronnie, saw that and was like, "All right, I like this kid's initiative. Let's hire him." And Ryan said, "Dude, he's been blowing me up for 6 months. Okay, you can finally have the job, Kanode." I was like, "Cool."
That's funny. Where was the internship and where was the company that you went to work for?
So the internship was in Long Beach, California, and that wasn't related to the company I ended up working for, but it was related to the BMX industry. So I got to meet a lot of the people that I still kind of stay in touch with today. The
Nice.
company is called Sabrosa that I ended up working for. They're based in Orlando. So the first year and a half or so was I got to work from home, aka just go travel when you're needed. And a lot of the riders that rode for Sabrosa lived in Phoenix, so it was nice to have that. And we would just go, like, it's a weird job to have because all you're doing is like trespassing into high schools, grinding their ledges, destroying their property, and filming it. It's that's pretty much it. So it was a fun couple of years. It wasn't much pay. It was 19 grand a year. So, but back then to me, I was like $350 a week. Let's go. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And rent, I remember, I think I was paying $300 for rent. So that was plenty of money for me.
Yes. Yes. I understand. Young men don't need a lot to live.
Great. Yeah.
You can always go on a diet when there's no food in the fridge.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a 1099 job, so I didn't understand that, and so for 3 or 4 years, I just kind of pretended taxes weren't a thing and ignored it. And then later on, I had to move back in with my parents and pay rent, aka put $1,200 towards my $15,000 of credit card debt, or not credit card debt, tax debt that I had to pay off, which sucks.
Wow.
But
so that's when you found out about taxes.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you have to pay taxes for sure.
Yeah. It's always interesting when young people first realize that.
It sucks like, so bad.
They're stealing my money.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, yeah, but don't you want a road to drive on? Don't you want a hospital to fix that, tailbone and this and that? And you're like, no, I don't use them. I don't care. That sort of thing. Yeah. I don't want to have to pay taxes. Can't we just, agree if we want to or not? It is interesting to see how taxes,
I love supporting wars in Ukraine. Let's go. Give me
That's hysterical. So you moved back in with your parents. That must have been a bit of a, did you want to, or?
Yeah, the journey to that was I was living in a BMX house in Tempe, which is basically like a college, kind of just dudes parties and drugs, parties, girls. And then I had to move to Orlando for the job. And I sold my car. I flew out there. I think I really drastically changed my life and went out there and wasn't making any more money. And I didn't have a car and I was miserable. I tried to be positive for a little bit, but summer in Orlando, I was the most depressed I've ever been. So I said, okay, it got to a point where I was like, screw you guys. Like if you want to, because I wasn't doing anything there that I couldn't do at home. So I was like, dude, I'm not going to live here. So that's when I moved back in with my parents. And it was a nice relief to just be back in Arizona. And I didn't really care too much that I live with my parents. I think there's a weird cultural thing against living with your parents, especially if you get along with them. I'm all for staying there as long as you want, even like as a functioning adult. My parents I could not live with now, but I support people who choose to.
I understand. How old were you at that time?
25, 25,
Okay, that's
26. Yeah.
interesting.
I think
Yeah,
25 to 27 I lived with my parents.
okay, that's not bad. I had told my kids that they can't move out before they're 18. It's against the law. The police will bring them back, and that sometime before 25, I give them freedom to fly. You know,
Yeah.
go, go, go. If you need to come back, you can come back for a short period of time. That's all right, but don't expect it to be lifelong.
Yeah.
And so far, so good. You know, I mean,
Right.
I want them to feel like they can come home if they need to. But at the same time, you want them to find their own way.
Right.
And it's hard to stop being a mom and to treat them more like adults all the time because the relationship has been established.
Yeah, I bet. It's
So
been
many
18
years.
years of being a mom. Now you want me to just be a peer?
Right.
That's
And that's
wild.
why I
Yeah.
said that about the guy in the hot air balloon. His mother must have freaked
Yeah.
because you can't see something like that. That's your child and not go, what did I do wrong? They're going to die. It's my fault. But yeah, I think moving in with family can help stabilize, especially if you need it. Like, you
Yeah.
know, whether it's
Taxes.
because of taxes or drugs or whatever it is. If you need the space, you need to get in
Mhm.
there and be just taken care of for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
for
that's
sure.
good. Good for you. That's a good way to be.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's suited me well so far. So, how old are you now?
34.
Okay.
Yeah. I went through
When did you start to like once you were with your parents? Did you continue? I know you're still very heavily involved in the BMX world,
Yeah.
and it's a how much of your life is it? Is it okay? So, for those of you who don't know, tell us what you do um, in in the real estate world.
Yeah. I do everything for Jamil, and I'm his videographer, photographer, social media manager, kind of director sometimes, and ghostwriter for certain scripts. And that's a lot. Yeah, I think that's oh, email and text marketing is the latest thing that got kind of added to the resume, and website builder, and all like just everything that you interface with the internet is what I am currently doing. The story to get there was what's that?
Including the website.
Yeah, I'm capable of building websites, and I'm in charge of that stuff. We've used third party because there's times where it's just like I can't do everything. So the current website is built by Amanda in Long Beach, and she did great. But as far as like funnels and all that stuff, that's what I'm actually very interested in right now. I want to figure out, not figure out, but create and make funnels that lead to big sales. That would be, I think, the most value that I can provide at the moment, and I'm pretty lasered in on that. But let me tell you the story to get there.
Yes,
'Cause
I
it's a
want to
fun
know how
one.
you met him.
I was still working for Sabrosa, living at my parents, and it just wasn't cutting it. So I needed to figure out something else. So for a while, I had two jobs. I was the filmer for Sabrosa, but I also found a gig. My dad was like, "You should work at Walmart." I was like, "I can do better than working at Walmart." No shade to people who work at Walmart, but I have a skill and I can use it.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a guy named Joshua Smith. He's from Surprise, Arizona, and he's a big real estate guy. And I said, "Hey, can I shoot some houses for you or something?" And he said, "Come on in." So I went in, and they make money, and I hate them. Funnels, yeah, facts. So I started working two jobs. I was being a media guy for this real estate person for I think 4 years, from 26 until 30. That timeline is a little iffy, but that seems about right. And that was he pushed me to learn how to build websites. He pushed me to learn how to manage social media, and just taught me a different vision for videography, more so than like, and I would do freelance weddings, I would do freelance commercials, but this consistent talking head type of content was just now it's second nature, to put it all together. But that was a good chapter. We had a falling out, and then I became a company of my own. I got LLC, Kanode Video, and
Nice.
my first year I did really well. I was living with my parents again. No, I don't know the timeline of moving back in with my parents. There's 2 times where I moved back in, one short stint and then one 2-year stint. But when I did my freelance company, I did 80 grand in revenue the first year, which is
Nice.
phenomenal.
Of
So
course. Of
that was
course.
fun. And I was busy as hell. I think that was 2020. And that's when I happened to cross paths with Pace, and he was super intense as Pace is. And I say intense, but he was just Pace. He had a vision. This is before Sub 2 existed, before any free Facebook groups or any community. He was just doing those ride-alongs that you hear about, where he was like, I lied and said that I had one person show up when they didn't show up. You know that story probably if you're in that world.
Yep. Yep.
And that's the Pace that I met. And I remember him bringing me into the TTP office. He was renting a space there, and he broke down on the whiteboard the vision for the future, and it has all come true and more in 4 years since then. Yeah, he predicted his Sub 2. He didn't know it was called Sub 2 yet, but he predicted a community. He predicted selling education. He predicted buying all these houses, creating a network. Like this is all part of his grand plan, which is insane. But it was intense when we first met, because he was just like, hey, so you're going to follow me to this. We're going to do a YouTube video. Blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, oh my God, who is this guy? Like, he's on some shit, but he was great. And so did a couple of videos with Pace, and through Pace met Jamil. And then those two started doing their traveling the world thing while I'm still doing other freelance gigs. But they became my most recurring client.
I'm going to interrupt you. Do you mean to tell me that you met Pace before he had connected with Jamil?
I think they knew each other, but yeah, pretty much. Like they've known each other for years before they met me, but through Pace, I met Jamil.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I interrupt my guests all the time.
As you should. Pop in. It's your show. So that was a really fun chapter. Just and Pace and Jamil actually taught me how to price myself better, because I didn't understand value, and I was working all day and creating like 2 or 3 videos for like $200, and they were like, and they're like, you sure? And so they got to a point where they taught me like 2 videos for 500 is pretty reasonable at this point. You know, that's medium. That's not what I'm charging now, but that's pretty good. And so that helped. And then that goes on for a while. And then I get the offer from New Reach Education to come on as a full-time content creator for the people behind Sub 2 and Astro Flipping. And so for 2 years, I worked at New Reach. I got this plaque right here. It says top content rep. I was, the best at New Reach, and all the famous ads, the, Blue Genie, the jumping off the roof into the pool, all the ads for Astro and Sub 2 that came out for 2 years was me. And
wow,
that feels pretty cool to say.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah. And then 2 years ago, New Reach kind of grew and became stiff and corporate, and all of a sudden, like, I'm reporting to somebody that came in after me, and I'm just like, they were like, you be the manager. I'm like, pay me more. And they're like, no. And I was like, all right. So I told Jamil this, and he's like, I'll pay you more. And I was like, deal. So I've been official with Jamil, exclusive on contract since April of 2022. Nice. And boy, have we grown. It's crazy. I'm trying to remember like how many. I think he had 40,000 or 50,000 Instagram followers when I came. And he's at 200. Like, sheesh.
Yeah, that's
Jamil Mo better for sure. Jamil Mo better.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a lot of interaction before like when you were doing all that stuff for New Reach? I imagine Jamil was a core part of it, right?
Yeah, and it was interesting because I had that pre-relationship with Pace and Jamil. So whenever they would come into the office, it would be Bobby and Jamil show, Bobby and Pace show. And yeah, so I started Jamil's YouTube channel before I became official with New Reach, and the how-to comp video that has 100,000 views on his channel and still is our best performing video. That was just on a whim. Hire me for the day.
I just came across it the other day.
Nice. Yeah, it's an OG one. And that was a fun one to make. And that was the beginning of this little journey we're on.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you think of this world when you were working with New Reach? And because all those guys are real estate. And it's amazing to me that you actually saw the Pace, from Pace, saw that vision. It's almost hard to believe, to be honest. I mean, I believe it, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
What did you think about all these guys? And
It's funny because even like a person before all of this was real estate, and all I would see is just like success and money, but I never really saw like, what are you doing really? You're talking to people. I'm like, whatever. That's stupid. Now I'm kind of like, I should talk to people and get some real estate things going. It's just a matter of like saying you're into real estate and then talking to people and figuring stuff out. But I don't know. I thought it was cool. I thought a lot of them were nice. I thought a lot of them were egomaniacs and sociopaths and some terrible people out there for sure. I'm sure you come across them, but there's some good ones, and you got to stick with them. So Pace and Jamil are definitely some good ones. I've legitimately worked for a bunch of like terrible, terrible people, and Pace and Jamil are great.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
And Josh is one of the good people, so
yeah, he is.
let's do a deal together.
Let's do a deal. Tag me in.
Yes.
What do you need? What do you tell me what to do? What to find? I can find something.
Exactly. And actually, I want to know about that. Have you done anything for real estate for yourself, or even thought of it?
There's a check in the mail for my first ever deal. Woo! I'm getting $500, and it's a charity thing. I was setting up a podcast with Nathan Harris and Jamil, and Nathan asked me the same thing, like, have you done a deal yet? And I was like, nope. And he said, well, you have now. And he just added me to this email chain. So I got to watch it close via interactions with the title company, but I didn't do anything. So I'm getting a $500 check thanks to Nathan. It's a cool gift.
Oh,
but no, I haven't done anything.
Have you thought about it?
To do anything. I've thought about it, but I haven't tried. The way I like my what's it called when you have a limiting belief? My limiting belief right now is that I'm using my free time to run my podcast and finish my video mediocre at best, and have a girlfriend and take care of my dog. And on top of all those things are in my free time when I'm not doing video, photo, social media, email marketing, text marketing, and YouTube management for Jamil. And it's just like, when you want me to do some outreach, it's fucking nuts. I miss the days where I was like, I had one thing to do and I would do that, and then I would have free time that I didn't know what to do with myself. Now it's every day is just
jam-packed.
Yeah. And my podcast is seeing some success. It's like sponsored, it's bringing in money, it's talked about, it's shared everywhere. It's pretty cool. It's not huge, but it's definitely not nothing. And so that's today there's supposed to be an episode released, but I couldn't get one done in time. So this is the first week in a long time that I'm not releasing one. And it's just like the pressure of trying to coordinate with these pro riders to set up interviews that's taxing. It's a lot. And then behind the scenes of it, managing the podcast, editing it, talking to my editors for clips, figuring out guests, figuring out the relationship with the sponsors, and tracking all that stuff. It's just like that. I'm not, sheesh, I'm doing too much.
I think you are.
Yeah.
So you said you have a dog and a girlfriend. Are you renting right now then
Yeah, just renting a 2-bedroom little modern retro, or what's it called? Mid-century modern. It's pretty sick. I love my place, but I've been in here for 3 years.
Where are you?
I'm in Phoenix, so just uptown, I guess you could say, off the 51 in Indian School, if anybody's local here.
Got it. Well, that's amazing. You're doing so very much. Are you sleeping?
Yeah, I try to prioritize sleep. I got this little Aura ring, and I make sure that I get my 8 hours and make sure I hit, well, you can't really make sure you hit, but when I don't get my REM sleep or my deep sleep, I look at the app. I'm like, all right, we'll get them next time. But yeah, I care a lot about sleep because if I don't get sleep, I can't function. I don't know how Pace does it. He runs on 3 hours of sleep and just zest for life. I'm like, how do you do that?
What does Jamil say about that? Because Jamil is a little more.
Yeah, Jamil's the opposite. He's like, we're not going to do anything business until 10 so that I can sleep until 6 and have my 4-hour morning routine and handle stuff. Like Jamil protects his time and energy. Pace just he's a battery, so there's no need to protect it. He's just beaming energy. So it's just he starts a new life-changing product every week with different people, and his tentacles
doesn't he?
Yeah,
doesn't he?
It's incredible to watch. It's a good dude to try and emulate a little bit. I could never be Pace, but to have Pace's attitude of like, something doesn't exist, but I can see it. Let's make it exist. Who do I need to talk to and make it happen?
Yeah.
He does have batteries under his invisible cape.
That's true. He does. Well, that is interesting. Now, before I forget, I want to ask you, what would you advise to any young people who want to get into the BMX world first? Talk to us about that.
Well, you need a bike, and you need to watch bike videos, and then go try riding and try learning
Yeah,
tricks.
you could be a comedian.
I actually did stand-up comedy for a year. That was really fun.
Oh, awesome.
That was in my drunken year, but that was fun. But yeah, to get in BMX, it's just like it's funny because it's a childhood thing, and you just stay doing it until you're an adult, and then you're in it. And it's just you meet cool people when you're at the skate park. You meet cool people on the internet who also love BMX. And yeah, the advice would be to ride your bike, have fun, and be nice.
And just stay
Good
in it.
advice. Yeah.
Okay.
And don't give
Okay.
up when you pay.
Marianne says she would need a 3-wheel bike.
They make those.
They do, don't they? I used to live in Davis, and Davis is known as the bike city of North America. Yeah, as in UC Davis,
Is it
Northern
Illinois?
California. Yeah, Northern California. And they had a lot of those kind of bikes, 3-wheel. And when I said I can't ride a bike, they were like, "What? Get a 3-wheeler." I was like, "No." That was too
Then it's just like pedaling a car, like the Flintstones.
Exactly. All right. So, what about social media? Because it's interesting that you started your BMX life right at the same time. Being on the bike and doing the videos.
Yeah.
You are a professional videographer, I would say. Would you allow us to say that?
Absolutely. It better be.
And yes, well, I'm saying that you have an entire career in it. So,
Yeah.
If someone said, I'm not into BMX, but sure want to make some money on that social media, I love this stuff, but don't know how to get going or whatever, what would you say to that person, the young one?
Yeah. Well, the young one probably has it ingrained in them already just from being in high school and being socialized with a phone. So they get it. They know how Instagram works and Snapchat and all that stuff. And there's a lot of people out there who are in business and have money, but don't have any clue how to do what you already know how to do. I think you don't need a fancy camera. You could just go make a living with just a cell phone, being a content creator, saying you need good content, but you don't know what to do or say. I'll help you out and coach you on what to say, and I'll handle the posting for you and make it look good and write a caption. And then you got yourself a deal. You can start real cheap. And that's the thing about getting into anything. I think you have to do it for free, if not cheap. For cheap, if not free, especially at the beginning, so that you can get your foot in the door and meet one person. Like I did with my freelance video career. I just did dirt cheap vlogs for a real estate investor here named Templeton to like $150. And I would film him from 6 a.m. until 4 p.m. and then edit the vlog and post it on his YouTube channel by 6 p.m. for 4 times a week for $150. And through him, that's how I met Pace and Jamil. And then my life. So you got to get your foot in the door, but then once you do, then know your worth.
Up your rates.
Don't.
Okay, so what would you tell the older folks? The ones that are in their 50s or 60s or 70s, like me.
Yeah.
How would you tell them to get started? We only have a couple of minutes left because we're just a little short, guys, today. But what would you advise to them? Because you're right, the young ones, they're born with it.
Yeah, they know what's up, and it just is second nature. For the older ones, it is a learning curve, and you have to really want to learn it, and you have to commit to being I think I'm tired of hearing everybody, you got to be consistent and post every day. No, you don't. You just have to do it like more than you're not doing it. I would, if I was older and I didn't know, I would hire somebody who did know, and then let
I was
them
waiting for that. What happened to the other side of the equation? You already told the young ones to go get the old ones.
And then the old one, hire the young one, but don't just hire them and let them do it. You need to hire them and pay attention and ask questions and figure out what they're doing, so that it's more of a training than it is a job. So that's what I'd like to do. I can see a vision where I help 5 clients, but I want them to not be clients in 3 months, so that they see what I do, they learn how to do it, and they do it for themselves.
Oh,
it's a terrible business model, but I would love
not
to
necessarily charge them to go through it, and then they'll recommend other people. They'll say, well, who taught me? Bobby.
Exactly. Yeah. That would be cool. Coach Kanode. That's the idea.
Yeah. And
about the website, Coach Kanode.
Coach Kanode knows.
Yeah. Coach Kanode knows. He does know.
Yeah. It's a bit of a tongue twister.
I just got a Twitter account for my podcast, and I called it Kanode Don't Know. Kanode Don't Know.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. I don't know which one would be more fun, but very interesting. Okay, put me in, coach. Yes, yes, I could just see that. That actually could be a very good model with your reputation, and you could systematize it so that
Yep.
after the first round and the second round, it could be like it would be a lot easier for you. Your time wouldn't
Yeah.
be as busy. And if you
Exactly.
ever do that, please do talk to me, include me.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah, because I think that it would be a good way for you to get into many different areas, but just to get known more. You're very well known, but
Yeah.
I adore you for coming on here. Are there any last words that you would like to say to anyone out there, either in the BMX world, in the social media world, in the real estate world, in the world at all?
In the world at all.
Yeah. What
Smell
have
the
you?
roses and be grateful and smell the roses. Like we're all trying to run around and but if you just take a second and appreciate the things you got, it's a pretty happy day.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, well, I am going to end it now, guys. Just I'm in a little bit of a rush, and no, I'm not. Bobby is. I was trying to not make him look bad, but I
Back to
would
work.
never.
I got a meeting to take with Jamila and an email person.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's just I would never cut out on you. I mean, we're going, guys. We've had more than our share of love and teachings from Bobby, and we shall see you again next week. Thank you, everyone.
Adios.
Adios.